What if I told you that $250,000, the number most people think is way too small to retire on, is actually enough? Not just enough to survive, enough to live comfortably on your own terms. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, the way you think about retirement is going to change completely. Here's the reality most people are living right now. You're working. Maybe you like your job, maybe you don't. But somewhere in the back of your head, there's this quiet little voice that says, is this it? Is this my whole life? And you've probably Googled, how much do I need to retire at some point? And the internet hit you with a number so big, it felt like a punch in the stomach. $2 million. $3 million. Some articles say even more. And you thought, well, that's never happening. So you closed the tab and kept working and told yourself you'd figure out later. But here's the thing. Later has a way of becoming never. And this is where it gets serious. Because the consequences of ignoring this aren't just financial. Studies show that people who retire without a plan are nearly 3 times more likely to fall into depression within the first year. Think about that. You spend your whole life working toward this finish line. And when you get there, it destroys you. Why? Because they ran out of money. Because they had no system. Because they believe a lie that said you need millions to retire with dignity. And so they panicked. They went back to work at 70. Or worse, they became a burden on their kids, which is the last thing any of us want. The clock is ticking. Every year you wait, inflation is quietly eating away at your savings. Every year you ignore this, the gap between where you are and where you need to be gets wider. And the painful truth? Most people don't realize any of this until it's almost too late. But here's where I want to flip everything you just heard on its head. Because the $2 million number, it's not wrong. It's just incomplete. It was designed for a different kind of retirement. A retirement built on fear, hoarding, and a system that benefits financial institutions, not you. The people who retire comfortably with $250,000 aren't lucky. They're not geniuses. They didn't win the lottery. They just learned a different strategy, a smarter one. And that's exactly what we're going to break down today. I'm going to walk you through 5 milestones, 5 moves that turn $250,000 into a retirement that actually works. And I'll warn you right now, the biggest mistake most people make, it's coming in milestone number 3. Don't skip ahead. Milestone 1, redefine what enough actually means. Let me tell you about a guy named James. James was 58 years old, had $247,000 in his 401k, and was terrified. He'd read all the articles. He was convinced he was doomed, that he'd work until he died. Then one afternoon, he sat down and did something his financial advisor had never told him to do. He actually calculated what his real monthly expenses were. Not what he thought they were, what they actually were. And the number shocked him. He needed $2,800 a month to live comfortably. Not $5,000. Not $8,000. $2,800. Here's the insight. Most people are planning for a retirement lifestyle they don't even want. They're saving for a version of retirement built on someone else's idea of success. The first milestone is ruthless clarity. Sit down, write down every expense, and ask yourself, what does my version of a good life actually cost? Because once you know that number, everything changes. And here's the thing most people don't realize about this step. Your expenses in retirement are actually lower than you think. No more commuting. No more work clothes. No more lunches out 5 days a week. Kids are grown. The mortgage might be paid off. When you do the real math, the number gets a lot less scary. But we're just getting started. Milestone 2. Stack your income streams like Lego blocks. This is where $250,000 stops being a lump sum and starts becoming a machine. And this is the part of the strategy that completely changed how I think about retirement. Most people look at their savings and think, how long until I run out? That's the wrong question. The right question is, how do I make this money work so I never have to touch the principal? Here's how you build a stack. First block, Social Security. If you're in the US and you can wait until 67 or even 70 to claim, your monthly benefit jumps significantly. We're talking potentially $1,500 to $2,200 a month just from Social Security alone. That's not nothing. That's actually a huge piece of the puzzle. Second block, the 4% withdrawal rule. This is the rule that financial researchers spent decades studying. If you pull just 4% from your portfolio each year, historically, your money lasts 30 years or more. On $250,000, that's $10,000 a year, about $833 a month. Add that to your Social Security, and you're already at $2,300 to $3,000 a month without doing anything else. Third block, a small side income. And before you roll your eyes, hear me out. I'm not talking about a second job. I'm talking about something you love. Consulting in your old field a few hours a week. Renting a spare room. Selling crafts online. Something that brings in just $300 to $500 a month. Because that little block, it completely removes the pressure from your portfolio. Stack those 3 Lego blocks together, and suddenly, $250,000 is not a retirement fund you're desperately draining. It's the foundation of an income system. But here's where it gets interesting, because most people who build this stack, they make a critical error that undoes everything. And that's exactly what Milestone 3 is about. Milestone 3. Stop killing your returns with this one mistake. I have to be honest with you. This is the part 1C go wrong most often. And it's painful to watch because it's so avoidable. The mistake is moving your money into safe investments right before or right after retirement. CDs, savings accounts, low-yield bonds. People do this because they're scared. They don't want to lose what they have. That fear is completely understandable. But here's what that fear is costing you. Inflation in the U.S. has averaged around 3% per year historically. If your money is sitting in a savings account earning 1%, you're not being safe. You're losing 2% every single year. Over 20 years of retirement, that quietly destroys your purchasing power. The price of groceries goes up. Healthcare goes up. Everything goes up. And your savings? They're shrinking in real terms, even though the number on your statement looks the same. The smarter move, and this is what the people who make $250,000 last will tell you, is to keep a portion of your money invested in a diversified, low-cost index fund. Not all of it, not even most of it, but enough that growth is still working for you. A simple split of 60% in a conservative index fund portfolio and 40% in cash or bonds gives your money a fighting chance against inflation while protecting you from the worst market swings. And by the way, most people don't realize this, but index funds have outperformed 92% of actively managed mutual funds over the last 15 years. Not because index funds are magic, because low fees and consistency beat expensive guessing every single time. This one shift alone can add years of runway to your retirement, but you still need to know how to protect it. And that's where Milestone 4 comes in, and it might be the most overlooked piece of this entire plan. Milestone 4. Healthcare is the wild card nobody plans for. Let me give you a number that will make your stomach drop. The average couple retiring at 65 in the U.S. will spend approximately $315,000 on healthcare costs over the course of their retirement. That's more than your entire nest egg, and it is the number one reason retirements fail. Here's the good news. It doesn't have to be that way if you plan for it, and most people absolutely do not. Here's what smart retirees do. If you're retiring before 65, which is when Medicare kicks in, you need a bridge plan. The health insurance marketplace offers options based on your income. And here's a trick. Because your retirement income is lower, you may qualify for significant subsidies. People are genuinely shocked when they find out they can get solid health coverage for under $200 a month when they retire early and their income drops. Once you hit 65, Medicare becomes your foundation. But, and this is critical, you need to supplement it. A Medicare supplement plan, also called Medigap, covers the gaps that original Medicare leaves behind. It costs more upfront, but saves you massively from catastrophic surprise bills. The other piece? An HSA, a health savings account. If you have one from your working years and you haven't touched it, protect it like gold. You can use it tax-free in retirement for qualified medical expenses. It is one of the most powerful and underused tools in the entire retirement toolkit. Plan for healthcare proactively And it goes from being the thing that destroys your retirement to just another manageable line in your budget. But here's what nobody tells you about the final piece of this strategy. Milestone 5. Design your life first. Then build the financial plan around it. This is the one that changes everything. And it's the one that's almost never talked about in finance videos. Here's the truth. The people who thrive in retirement are not the ones with the most money. They're the ones with the clearest vision of what their retired life looks like. And I mean specific. Not, I want to travel. Where? When? How? Not, I want to spend time with my grandkids. Doing what? Every week. Every day. There's a concept in psychology called the retirement identity crisis. It's real, it's documented, and it affects a huge number of retirees. Because for most of their lives, their identity was tied to their work. And when that's gone, even if they wanted it to be gone, the lack of structure, purpose, and connection hits them hard. The solution isn't financial. It's intentional. Before you retire, design your day. Design your week. What time do you wake up? What do you do in the morning? Who do you see? What are you building, creating, or contributing to? What gives you a reason to get out of bed? When you have that, when your life has purpose and structure, retirement becomes the best chapter of your life. And interestingly, people who have this clarity also spend less money because they're not filling a void with things. They're genuinely living. And here's the beautiful part. When you combine Milestone 5 with the financial strategy of the other 4, $250,000 doesn't just last. It funds a life you actually love. That's the whole point. So let's bring this all together. Because here's the big realization I want you to walk away with today. The $2 million retirement myth was never really about your retirement. It was about a system that profits from your fear. It was about making you feel like you'll never have enough. So you keep working, keep saving, keep paying fees to people managing your money. But the truth? The actual math? A well-designed retirement with $250,000 is absolutely possible. We just walked through how. You know your real number now. You know how to stack income streams. You know the one investment mistake to avoid. You know how to handle healthcare without getting wiped out. And you know that the most important retirement plan isn't financial, it's intentional. The people who figure this out don't just retire. They live. And you can too. If this video opened your eyes to something you hadn't considered before, do me a favor and hit that like button. Not for the algorithm, although hey, that helps too, but because it tells me that this is the kind of content that actually matters to you. And if you want more videos like this, practical, no-nonsense strategies that help real people build real financial freedom, subscribe. I put out new content every week, and I promise you, we're just getting started. And speaking of getting started, there's one more piece to this puzzle that I haven't talked about yet. What happens if you're starting from 0 at 40 or 50 or even later? Is the game still winnable? The answer is yes, but the strategy looks completely different. I broke it all down in this video right here, and if today's video resonated with you, that one is going to blow your mind. Go watch it. I'll see you there.